The concept change Mercedes committed at Monaco has seemingly brought much-needed motivation to Brackley, but we still know that the silver arrows are nowhere near Red Bull to deliver that much-needed competitiveness for race wins and championships. However, the team acknowledges its place in the competitive order after the Barcelona show it was able to put on. And there is news about a potential upgrade package scheduled for Silverstone, which could again see major changes being made to the car's aerodynamic concept. Can Mercedes clinch second place in the Constructors' Championship with ease with this rumored Silverstone upgrade package? Well, stick around to find out. Mercedes made massive progress at Barcelona after admitting to be going in the wrong direction since the introduction of these new ground effect technical regulations. The Brackley-based squad was able to walk out of Spain with a double podium finish, a points haul of 33, making Mercedes the second best constructor of the weekend. With the results from Barcelona, Mercedes now lead Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship in second place by 18 points. But if there is one thing that we need to understand, the W14 running now on track is just the baseline for Mercedes. The team is far from done with evolving the W14 and will keep on upgrading the car to keep chipping our performance. Mercedes Chief Technical Officer James Allison has talked about this, and he provided us with the part that the team has most of their focus on. And that indeed is the underfloor of the car. There are many things that Mercedes needs to be aware of, and there are two main factors pushing against the improvement of the W14 in season. One factor is the budget cap, and the second factor is the threat of Aston Martin, as the Silverstone-based squad has talked about bringing a main upgrade package to Canada to close the gap to Red Bull. So, we'll go through both of these issues one by one and explain it in Mercedes' perspective. Bringing a massive upgrade before 2021 was a piece of cake for these big teams, as it will be just signing a check with any amount they want. Mercedes was one of the biggest spenders of the sport, as they were spending as much as $500 million within a season. But with the budget cap introduced, and all the teams being capped to a maximum spending limit of $135 million for the 2023 season, we did talk about how Mercedes could find ways out of the budget cap to actually spend and gain for their Formula 1 car, but still that won't be as much as spending directly within the sport. According to Mercedes, the team has spent a hefty amount from its year's budget on this Monaco upgrade package, and that is to be expected, as a new side pod's geometry, a new floor and a new front suspension especially are very expensive to overhaul. We saw the Mercedes floor at Monaco, and when compared with the Red Bull specification, the Mercedes floor is a bit on the Stone Age yet. But good news for Mercedes fans is that this is the first iteration of the floor, and the team are already looking on to making changes to the floor by taking inspiration from Red Bull as well. Allison confirmed this in the team's Monaco race debrief video, mentioning that the engineers back at Brackley are already analyzing the intricate details of the Red Bull floor. This is a sort of a double-edged sword for the team. That is because they are making changes to the part of the car responsible of generating half of the car's overall downforce. If they are not able to interpret the Red Bull design properly and incorporate it with the Mercedes aero concept, that would be absolute disaster. It's not easy as just copying and pasting the Red Bull design, because the floor design depends on many other factors, such as the chassis design. The Red Bull and Mercedes chassis are so different, as we know that the Mercedes chassis is a bit smaller than the Red Bull chassis. Toto Wolff has talked about this matter and indeed mentioned that if the team had the much-needed finances on hand, like they did prior to the introduction of the budget cap, the first thing the team would have done is to bring in a new chassis. The first challenge for Mercedes this season would be staying under the budget cap. Will the team be upset if they do breach the cap? Certainly not. But the penalties for breaching the cap would be recalculated this season, as the Red Bull breach was not set as an example for teams whatsoever. Andrew Chauvelin, the trackside engineering director of Mercedes, talked about this change of concept of the W14, and which part of the upgrade really took its toll on the team's budget for this season. Talking about it, Chauvelin said, "Basically we made a new suspension, and suspension is expensive to make and to fit on the car," he said. So the reality is that with the budget cap, we are always looking at our situation in this World Championship. We don't know how many things we're going to do. I don't expect to make any leaps and bounds. The important thing is that, with these upgrades, Mercedes has been able to solve of its biggest problems. The team were able to find the right operative window for the W14. From this point onwards, the team only has to go upwards. This is why George Russell is very much excited about the team's prospects at the British Grand Prix. Silverstone make the most sense for the team to bring upgrades, as that was the track where the team was able to cure the W13's porpoising problems. and the Silverstone track has been very good for Mercedes on past years. To top off that, the track is on close proximity to the Brackley factory, which makes more sense. It's worth noting that Mercedes is not the only team trying to improve their in-season prospects. Aston Martin is in the fight as well. The Silverstone outfit has provided insights on its big upgrade package for Canada, and that is the team's first major upgrade. Rumors are suggesting that Aston Martin will be bringing a new floor to Canada. The closest car to Red Bull, in terms of chassis and aerodynamics, is probably the Aston Martin car. Those similarities could allow the team to mount a Red Bull similar floor onto the Aston Martin, which could actually unlock a lot of lap time. Ferrari is also expecting the Canadian Grand Prix to be a better showing. The fact that both Vasseur and Carlos labeled the Spanish Grand Prix as the worst circuit for the team to bring upgrades should speak volumes. That leaves Mercedes with no choice other than to level up their game. We all know that Mercedes are a team capable of turning bad into a good season, but the financial restraints could limit the progression the team is able to make. Yet, everyone knows how much important the development of the W14 is, because that is what paves the way for the W15, as they would want it to be the title challenger from the get-go next season. Mercedes thought to be out of the top 10 before arriving at Barcelona, but the result at Barcelona was the polar opposite. But I don't think Montreal will be the same, considering the differences between the track layout itself. But when they come to Silverstone, the team will have to respond to their rivals and be aggressive to get a good result on their home turf. Silverstone is where the team irradiated the porpoising problem, with the improvements they made at Barcelona. So what exactly are the Silver Arrows bringing to Silverstone? Well, when asked from George Russell about this, he added, "Silverstone we're excited for." Russell told Sky Sports F1 in Barcelona, "I think we'll be in a good place there to fight for a good result. We might have a couple more things coming for Silverstone, but we need to not get too carried away with just this one result. The team have done an amazing job to bring these upgrades. I think Aston and Ferrari probably underperformed a little bit in the race today. So let's see what the next races bring, but definitely a great step forward." As I mentioned earlier in this video, the underfloor of the car will be something the team will work on closely, as that is the best way to unlock crucial tenths of performance. This was essentially confirmed by the team's CTO James Allison. However, he also stressed the importance of correlation between the parts and the car's aero philosophy. Just because the complex floor works well on the RB19, that does not mean that the same floor will work perfectly on the Mercedes chassis. This is something that both George Russell and Lewis Hamilton has shed some opinion on. Russell believes that if the Red Bull team sticks the narrow side pods on the RB19, the Red Bull car will still be faster. So the question of which part Mercedes should pursue on developing the most is still a question, and the easy answer for that is the floor of the car. It's not just George Russell who has expressed his ideas about the side pods. Even Toto Wolff is also not convinced yet about the performance of the new side pods over its predecessor. He has urged his team to seek improvements beneath the car. It seems though Mercedes could go with very well another iteration to the car's side pods, making another major change in the car's concept. Formula 1 journalist Christian Menef spoke about Wolff's disagreement with the sidepod's design. And when talking about this matter, he added, "What is a concept? You've heard that question from the Mercedes engineers quite a lot," he said on the F1 Nation podcast. They now have sidepods. We were talking to Andrea Stella, and he was talking about sidepods and why these wide sidepods work better with this generation of cars and bring the best out of the floor, because everyone is talking about the floor. The floor is the big performance differentiator because 40% of the total downforce is generated by the floor, but the floor has to work, and it doesn't work in isolation. So a Formula 1 car, you always have to look at every single aspect from the front wing to the rear wing, and also from the side pods. Toto said they just wanted to take out something of the equation. He's still not convinced that the concept of these side pods is the better one. They just wanted to take something out of the equation to be sure where the problem is. But I think that was part of the problem. For me, it's definitely the right direction. But who am I to judge 1,000 engineers in Brackley? Overall, what Mercedes learns from this whole experience is what matters most. Even though they've made enormous progress with the most recent car design, there are still many elements that need to be altered if they want to compete for race wins and championships. The good news is that both of its drivers are now prepared to dedicate themselves to the squad for a few more years. And with Mick Schumacher stressing the need to test the vehicle and identify any issues, Mercedes has a promising future. But what do you guys think? Do you think Mercedes should use the 17% aero testing they have to optimize the W14 to the extent of winning races? Or should the team play the long game, collect data this season, and develop a title-challenging car from the get-go of next season? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section down below. We'd love to discuss it with you. And on your way down, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of our future uploads to keep yourselves up to date about the 2023 Formula 1 season.